CJ Ake here with 104.5 The Zone, and I'm here with News Channel 5 Steve Layman. We're going to talk a little balls as fall camp starts for MTSU. The Titans in training camp. It's football season. I'm ready.
It is football season. I am ready as well, CJ.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot of MTSU. Got the new field in the background, and so one of the big storylines, obviously, is year 2 for Derek Mason. How do you see this season playing out for the Blue Raiders?
Well, I think there's a lot of energy around the program right now, CJ. We're standing right next to the Smith Performance Center, $66 million facility that just opened this summer in time for training camp. And that's going to give players a chance to get better in the weight room, nutrition-wise, a training facility. Obviously helps them when they step on the field. And I was impressed with the energy in practice today as well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Nick Vattiato, fifth-year senior quarterback. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards the past couple of years. And I like the guys he has on the perimeter to throw to. And Lacey, Carter, and those other guys, they hit several shots down the field today. I think Carter himself had 3 touchdowns in their teamwork today. If they can stretch the field, they have an opportunity to really take the top off of the defense and have a much more prolific offense this season, which would obviously be big.
As we see Coach Mason finishing up an interview, I want to talk about his philosophy about the city of Murfreesboro and how he wants to put a fence around the city. And being as somebody who lives in Murfreesboro and grew up in Murfreesboro, went to high school in Murfreesboro, it is important for this university and this city as a whole to get behind the program. And it starts with getting kids from the city to buy in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that was one of the big things when they made the coup to hire Derek Mason, a guy who's very familiar with the area, is he understands the value of the borough and of Rutherford County and being able to kind of draw a perimeter around this area and keep the talent here and bring them in and put them in a Blue Raider uniform. That's their goal in recruiting. Obviously, in this day and age, you have to supplement that with guys that you bring in through the transfer portal. But if you can keep the talent home here, you've got a really good shot, and I know that's their mission.
Absolutely, and it'll be very fun to see what happens with the Blue Raider program as the season starts just a couple of weeks. Now, before you go, I want to talk Titans. Obviously, they're the big storyline. Cam Ward, the #1 overall pick. But I want to get away from that and focus primarily on some of the more unheralded guys who have caught your attention in the first 2 weeks of training camp.
Yeah, CJ, to me, that's what training camp's all about. You kind of know the gist of who the Titans are based off of last year and what the personnel is. But who are the guys who take strides? Who are the guys who maybe are winning position battles? And I look on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think it's a great receiver core, but I see a guy in Bryce Oliver who we saw a little bit last year who really shows his value both in special teams and I think offensively as a receiver right now for this team. I think he's a near lock to make the team at the moment. And another guy who hasn't been talked about much is James Prochet II. He has shown up, I think, every day of training camp. So I think he's a guy who might find himself into the rotation at wide receiver. I like what I've seen from the running game so far. We all know about Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. And now behind that remade offensive line, I think they have a chance to take a step forward this year. And then defensively, I think there's some encouraging signs from the young guys over there. James Williams, to me, is going to be the starting inside linebacker next to Cody Barton. He was your 7th-round pick a year ago. And I don't know if anybody saw that coming with his performance on the field last year. So he's taken a huge step forward in year 2. And then I look at the safety position, Kevin Winston Jr., the 3rd-round pick. I think that was a steal because of his torn ACL at Penn State last year. He's still playing the catch-up game because he missed all of the spring, but he keeps finding himself around the football and making plays. Once he learns the entire defense, CJ, and you put it together with that physicality and athleticism, I think he has a chance to be a really good safety in the NFL.
In your estimation, what would you say to people who are more concerned about the direction of the Titans offense based on what you've seen so far in the first 2 weeks of camp? What would you tell them?
I think camp goes up and down. That's one thing. Some days they're great. Some days Cam Ward's great. Other days they have issues. I do think if you want to be concerned as a Titans fan, it's the fact that Brian Callahan is supposed to be an offensive guy and he's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer. So if you don't see the progress, either in Cam Ward as a rookie this year, getting better throughout the season, or in this offense taking strides in year 2, you do have to wonder if he is the guy you thought you hired when you brought in Brian Callahan as maybe the hottest name in the coaching carousel a couple of years ago. But I think just in general, from an offensive perspective, I do think they'll be better this year because it's year 2. I do think Cam Ward will be a better quarterback eventually. You may not see it in week 1 or week 2, but I do think eventually he can show signs, and that's what you want to see. To me, the real evaluation of the Titans this year isn't going to be the end record. Of course, we'd all love to see them go 9-7 and get back to the playoffs or be in that race. To me, it's less about the overall record and more about the progress. Do they get better from week 1 to week 7, week 7 to week 12 throughout the course of the season? Does Cam Ward get better? Because if you see that growth, then I think you feel like the mission and the plan is at least going in the right direction.
Finally, we know that the joint practices are coming up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First preseason game is on Saturday. Any something that you are looking forward to seeing, or something that you hope catches your attention as they practice with the Buccaneers and ultimately play?
I think one thing on each side of the ball. First, offensively, can they just continue this progress, specifically Cam Ward, now going against a different defense? He's seen a lot of various packages, a lot of blitzing, a lot of tough situations on purpose in practice against his own defense. Now he's going to see another defense, probably in a lot of base situations. Does he take a step forward doing that? I think that is a big question this week. And then defensively, how does that secondary, especially without L'Jarius Sneed, match up against what should be a pretty good Bucs passing attack with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and those guys? So those are the two big things I want to see this week as they go down to Tampa Bay.
He is News Channel 5 Steve Layman, always gracious to give me some few minutes of his time. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, CJ.